let's talk a little bit more about the Big Ten Media Days. So, Chris, most interesting things not involving Ohio State and Michigan that happened in the 2 days in Indianapolis from Big Ten Media Days. Now that we've thoroughly digested and vomited up basically what we saw from the two teams that seem to matter the
But you
most.
know what? We did leave out one thing. Possibly the guy who won Big Ten Media Days, and that was Cade Stover. Come on, the guy wants his NIL dollars paid to him in tractors.
Give me a tractor. Loved it. Yeah, that was great. That was sensational. All right, let's start with this. So some very interesting things that I saw. How about Wisconsin's brand new coach Luke Fickle?
Yeah,
Walks in with a nice little tan, smile, and a new big chunky paycheck being the head man over there in Madison, Wisconsin. Talks about what it means to be there in the place that he played in and when he was at Ohio State and coached against when he was at Ohio State. Says, I'm glad to be back in the Big Ten. This is where I belong. And following his opening statements, he gets asked 4 questions by the media. All 4 questions came from Columbus, Ohio State media.
yeah.
Madison, Wisconsin,
Did you
media
send a rep?
members, where you at? Like, what? You got a brand new head coach, his first Big Ten media days, and every question's coming from Ohio State media.
And a great head coach at that, Eric. Yeah, that's yeah. I don't know. I don't get it. Why? You would have thought they would have been all over this guy. You know, hearing what he had to say, singing his praises. Getting the Wisconsin faithful pumped up for this guy, and it was crickets.
Like, where you at, guys? Come on, man. I mean, Jiminy Christmas. Even someone from like Iowa or another
Yeah.
school on the West who might be concerned about their rival have a question. Nope, all Ohio State guys.
Well, the ones in the West are smart. They didn't want to say anything to piss him off.
He was an all-state wrestler. I was gonna ask the question. Like which Big Ten coach do you think would win in a fight? I don't think it's close. It's Luke Fickle.
No, it's fickle,
It's
and
Luke, and then
he might be able to take two or three of them at one time.
yeah, and then maybe Tuck.
Yeah,
Mel
well,
Tucker if he
Mel
gets
Tucker's.
mad enough.
I think so.
He big dude. By the way, Mel Tucker best dressed easily.
Oh yeah,
Oh, that dark green pinstripe suit.
he
That
was
thing
sharp.
looked good. That was a sharp suit, buddy. Mel Tucker won best dressed. Out of the new coaches, who do you think did the best? Who did you like the most? Or I mean, it's
Yeah,
easy to go to Luke Fickle as a
it is
Buckeye
easy to go
fan.
to fickle, but I really liked Matt Rule from Nebraska as well.
Did you?
I really did. I thought, first of all, much nicer than seeing grumpy old Scott Frost in there, isn't it?
Yeah, he's
I
one
mean, at
foot
least
out the door
Matt
already.
Rule's charismatic, and I thought that he did okay. For me, it probably was fickle, but let's face it, Eric. Maybe as Ohio State fans and people who are fans of Luke Fickle in general, we're going to have that little bit of bias. So after that, I would definitely say that it was Rule.
Oh, I hope not, Larry. It may turn out that
I
Fickle was a
fear
big
that.
fish that got away.
I fear that.
There's definitely some Buckeye angst in our hearts for that one. You're right. All right, let's talk about this one, PJ Fleck. So, in case you haven't heard, after the Northwestern incident, a player from Minnesota has come forth saying that the culture inside of
Toxic.
Minnesota is cult-like
That's
and
toxic, Eric.
toxic. I loved PJ Fleck's answer.
I do too. He just went out there and he went on the attack basically with this.
Yes.
He faced it head on, which is exactly what he should have done. That was the approach to do. You hear him go out there, he denies the allegations. He explains all these mechanisms that are in place that somebody could have reported something if something was actually going on. And you know, for me, I walk away from that believing PJ Fleck.
Oh yeah, 100%.
100%.
A story that ran yesterday, there was some allegations that you probably found troubling regarding your program made by some former players. There was a reference to a Fleck bank and Fleck coins that could be used in some cases. There's allegations of violating team rules with those Fleck coins. Could you kind of describe what a Fleck bank is, those Fleck coins, and maybe respond to some of the allegations made? And he literally took a deep breath, reared back, and he preached a sermon. Listen to this. First of all, the Fleck bank, mostly used in 2017 and 18, was an analogy used in team meetings talking about the more you invest into a program, the better experience you're going to get out of it. As a head football coach, when you come in and you don't know anybody, the guys that do really good things are going to have a really good experience. If you're not doing all the right things, you're probably not going to have a great experience. So he just said kid didn't have a great experience because he wasn't doing all the right things. There was no currency ever exchanged. There was no coins that ever existed. It was an analogy simply to explain investment for life, a life lesson of investment. Simply that. No one ever got out of any type of punishment for that. And just so everybody knows, in punishing our football team, that word punishing, in fact, our athletic department has taken over our disciplinary type actions. We do not use physical activity to discipline our players at the University of Minnesota, and we have never done that. See, so the allegation was you had to earn Fleck coins, and then if you got in trouble, you could cash them into the Fleck
Yeah,
bank and get out of trouble of running more.
right.
So this player obviously wasn't going to class or wasn't showing up on time or whatever, and is using this as his excuse. Our players do things like they wake up early and clean the weight room. Whatever you did, you watch a video on that. If you were late to class, you watch a video on tardiness. You write your professor a letter. Those are the disciplines we actually have within our program. That our athletic department changed their policies and made sure that no physical activity of any sort, of any sport, could be used as punishment based on what we created as a football team. These allegations are baseless. We have full support of our athletic department, our athletic director, excuse me, Mark Coyle, and our university leadership. This is a similar story that gets peddled every single year, and the majority of the players have been dismissed or removed from our football team. We have around a half dozen anonymous reporting avenues within our football program that players can go to if they have an issue. Protection for All, EEOA office, mental health support, SAC, leadership council, and our athletic director, Mark Coyle, gives his cell phone number to every single football player to call him if they ever have any issues. To this date, there have been zero claims on this issue. Zero. Our program and culture is proven to work on and off the field, and it's always done on a first class manner. We are one of the most transparent programs in the country. There are tons of testimonials from past, present, and even future Gophers to support and prove that. My energy needs to be on the 2023 football team and that only, and not on baseless allegations. So that's what the Fleck Bank was strictly an analogy. And with all the other things that were reported, we have explanations on that as well. Boom. End of story. Done. Media's left with their mouths open going,
And
what
you
did
know
we
what?
just
It's
do?
now a dead issue. It really is. If you look at the press now, it's a dead issue. Uh,
Bingo, Frank. Frank sounds like sour grapes
that's
from an ex
exactly right.
player.
That's exactly right.
And let me say this. You I know we live in NIL now. We live in the world of
We do.
NIL, and it's what can I get? What can I get now? You got a free scholarship. I still have college loans I'm paying off, and I'm 42 years old.
I'm 50 and paying them, Eric. I'm with you.
Quit whining. Holy smokes. What a what a whippy generation,
Yeah.
dude.
And you know what? What? And we're not going to rehash the NIL argument, but I didn't see a whole hell of a lot wrong with the scholarship and stipend program we had before.
I didn't either.
You know,
I would have liked to have
now,
gotten a
now if I was
scholarship.
an athlete, and I was a player, especially a top tier, I would have loved to have seen a little something extra.
So
And I
you
get
didn't
that for everyone, but
you showed up late or you didn't go to class
you
and
didn't hold up your end of the deal.
you got disciplined by you and you had to either run or clean up the weight room. Hey, listen, I had a detention one time. It made me late, 15 minutes late to practice. You know what my coach made me do when I was a sophomore?
Run.
I ran 15 burpees.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to the 90s, punk.
Yeah, well,
Dude.
Eric, we grew up in a generation where the coach grabbed you by the face mask and drug you around the field,
Yeah.
smacked you on the helmet till he rung your bell. They think they get concussions playing on the field. Some of them coaches, man, they would slap you on the helmet so
Do you,
hard they gave you a concussion.
do you remember the story about the old timer at the Iowa
About
tailgate?
Woody Hayes kicking the in
Oh,
the backside.
he goes, all right. So he says, I go, man. He goes, I was a student when Woody Hayes was coach, and I used to live in the tower by the field. And he goes, we used to call him an ASS kicker. I go, really? And he goes, oh yeah. And he mentions a player's name who he literally got down in a squat, and Woody kicked him up the backside and lifted him up off the ground. That's how he got the nickname.
Yeah,
Now, I'm not saying we need to go around kicking people on the backside, although Urban might argue that a kicker needs a good kick every now and then.
yes. Just just to see what it feels like.
But what I am saying is this. Quit being so soft.
Well, if you can forget that argument, Eric, we are now in an era of whiny prima donnas. This has become pro football, except 90% of these kids aren't men yet; they're still boys.
Pretty good analogy.
You know.
That's a pretty good analogy. Those were some interesting things I
Oh,
saw. Did you see anything you want to talk about, Chris?
you touched on a few of them.
All right.
Obviously, Minnesota was one of the big ones. But hey, how about the fact that Maryland looking confident this year, sounding confident? Look out for them Terrapins. Michael Oxley come out, and he has said that his team is ready to compete for a title. In fact, he said our program is at a point finally where we can say we're here to compete for the Big Ten championship.
Do you think he really believes that, or was that more of a recruiting pitch?
I believe he thinks that that's actually the point where they're at. And you know what? He's got a quarterback who was offered a million reasons to leave this conference,
Yeah.
and he stayed there. That's got to give him even a little bit more of an ego boost there.
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
right.
And then the other thing for me, and I'll tell you, is the Big Ten media days, which typically revolve around football, didn't have a whole heck of a lot to do with football this year, Eric. I
Didn't
mean,
seem that way.
we had the Harbaugh suspension with the Northwestern debacle. You got the Acu, which by the way is getting worse day by day. And we've now got a legal issue filed against one of the assistant coaches,
Who's
uh,
still with the program.
who's still with the program. We have accusations by the former Minnesota players. We got gambling issues in Iowa, Eric.
What are you gambling with in Iowa? Corn?
Corn. But yeah, we got
Sorry.
gambling issues in Iowa. Right in the midst of all this, we had the Colorado announcement come out, which isn't even related to the Big Ten, but by gosh, we pushed it.
We're
And
gonna get to
then,
that. We're gonna get to that.
last but not least, I don't know if you know, you've watched quite a few Big Ten media days, have you not?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It seemed like there was maybe just a little bit more press there this time, a little more national press there this time. I think that new Big Ten media deal had a little more attention on these things as well,
What I wouldn't say national press, but what I did notice was
or more national
CBS,
affiliates. Yes.
CBS, Fox, and NBC all had their major voices there,
In fact, Joel was
and
right out there.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit back and watch Big Ten
Um,
football from when I wake up to when I go to sleep on
and I'm going to
Saturdays.
tell you, Eric, mark my words, this is just the first step. Within the next 10 years, the Big Ten is the premier conference in sports based upon